Hello, everybody. Before we get into headcanon o'clock time, I just want to say something. Emily and Chili Healer Studios, if you're checking this out, which you probably are, why the hell can't you be patient? It's always, when's Happy and Patrick's headcanon coming out? Answer me when I ask you something like this. Does the Sodor and Mainland Railway really need more box tanks? Keep in mind, this is the same person that robbed the Canadian National Northern gets into fights with. Oh yes, speaking of which, these are some more OCs from Rob the Canadian National Northern. I'll get to them in a bit. Seriously, Emily and Chili Healer Studios, like I said, why can't you be patient? If this is how you're going to act, leave. I don't want you here. Thank you. Anyways, hopefully this can cheer me up. On to the OCs. CJ, the Robson Ironworks Diesel, and Gene, the Great Eastern Engine. Almost forgot his name for a minute. Start with CJ here. Now, CJ, oh boy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's meant to be an 08-9. If you don't know what type of engine that is, think of what I said about the 6400s. Except, these are not pannier tanks. This is basically an 08, but is trimmed down. So, yeah, 5 of them were built, and according to Team Zug, information on these type of engines are kind of meh. Because when he first did research on these types of engines, he discovered that only one member of the class was scrapped, that being 8991, the first member of the class, by the way. But then he found out that only 2 survived to preservation. I even asked my brother this, and when he did research, apparently, I think he said either 3 or 1 survived, either 3 members or 1 member survived to preservation. So, I don't know what's right or wrong, but all I know is that, but all me and Team Zug know that is, 8991 was scrapped, and, yeah. Either that, or he's just one of the many, many Class 08 diesel shunters. I don't know why, but looking at the side rods, he's probably an 08-9, just saying. Okay, here's his origin story. So he was built in 1954 and worked at the Robson Iron Works. Along with 3 other diesel shunters. And unlike most diesels, he was actually quite polite, and he's a lot more sympathetic. He doesn't like scrapping steam engines. That's the way I put it. He doesn't want to see the steam engines meet their fate, and the other diesel shunters hate on him for this. And I don't know what really happens next, but I do remember that he does leave. I think he leaves the ironworks at some point and then comes back later, and he's still there to this day. Okay. So that's his origin story. Let's see how I can work him in my AU. Okay, so quick question. I don't think is the Robson Ironworks on Sodor in your AU? I literally have no idea. Maybe it's meant to be his take on the Sodor Ironworks or something. I don't know. So, I could like to think that the Robson Ironworks was in dire need of another engine. And so, this diesel engine came along. And judging by the Cyrons, I'm just going to assume he's an 08-9, okay? You must be the new Class 08 diesel shunter we ordered. Actually, I'm not a Class 08. I'm an 08-9. Wait, what? Yeah, can't you tell? Very well. You weren't really what we were expecting, but we're glad to have you here regardless. Come on in. Okay. He was soon quickly put to work shunting and pulling trucks to where they were needed. He was happy to do any work he was given with no fuss. And sometimes brings trains of scrap metal to other railway. Actually, no. And sometimes you'll see him bring trainloads of scrap to be melted down into new rails and things. And he's quite that popular engine to be around. I could call the Ironworks his home. Now then, on to Gene, the Great Eastern engine. Oh boy, another B12. Or is it an S69? I can't tell the difference. They look almost identical. Yeah, we've been on a bit of a B12 kick recently. Or S69, whatever. I'm not trying to sound rude, okay? Okay. Okay, let's get into this, shall we? Okay? Okay. So he worked on the Great Eastern Railway and the later formed L&ER for all of his life. Until he was withdrawn from service and saved from being scrapped and painted up in his blue livery again, as you can see here. But he came to Sodor to help out with the flying kipper runs because Henry rediscovered Great Waterton in his AU. I've spoke about that already in a past headcanon, which you guys could go check out for yourself. And when he arrived, Henry was quite jealous of him, and thought that he was taking his life away from him. Remind you of two certain characters? I mean, I can see why he's jealous of him, given that they're both 460 tender engines. And quite the big type, I guess. But soon Henry managed to make friends with him, and now, yeah. Now he works hauling in goods trains, and sometimes does the flying kipper runs. So if you remember, I asked, what's the name of that OC again? The one that you gave the one that's a Great Eastern design, the one that's a Great Eastern tank engine, but you stuck side plates on him. Okay. Let's see how I can work him in my AU. I think, you know what, I'm going to be going off what he did with his origin story. I think pairing him with Henry might be good for this. Like I said, they're both big tender engines and have a 460 wheel configuration. Although sometimes in the Railway series, when Henry was seen in his old shape, sometimes his wheel configuration switches from a 462 to a 460. But given that he's now a 460 in his new shape, I'm going to be going off of this. When he comes to Sodor to help out, Sir Tappenhat tells him that he'll be helping Henry out with the Flying Kipper runs. And Henry's just like, I don't need some help. And soon, when Jean became quite the popular engine to be around. And Henry was even more skeptical about him. But what was the boiling point for him was when he saw him at Tidmouth Sheds. He was talking with the other engines, and the berth he was in was Henry's berth. Reminds you of someone? And then when he saw Henry, he just puffed up to speak to him. Hello, Henry. The other agent said I could stay here until you got back. Henry said nothing, but gave him a very dirty look. Jean was in his berth, and now he was chatting with his colleagues. Something changed inside Henry that day. You can stay here. I have another train to take. And with that, he puffed away. Days went by. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And Henry had still not gotten over his jealousy of Jean. And so, he came up with a plan to sabotage him. He decided to give Jean all of his trucks when passing by, when he came to the harbor. When he arrived, he was surprised to see all of Henry's trucks arranged in one long line. Whoa, that's quite the heavy load. How are you going to pull all that? Oh, this load isn't for me. It's for you. The harbor master told me that it was for you. Wait, what? Really? Yeah, I mean, after all, you are quite the big, strong engine, after all. Jean just said nothing and went to find a turntable to turn around. But even Henry knew that the train was too long and too heavy. And soon, Gene started his trip. And when he got to the top of Gordon's Hill, his wheel started to spin and slide. And then the coupling snapped, and his trucks rolled down and his trucks raced down the hill. The other engines gasped as Gene's train came racing down the hill. Everyone could only watch what happened next. The trucks crashed into the buffers, and they fell into the ocean. Of the harbor. It took a long time to get all the trucks out, but their loads were in ruins, and some of them had ended up at the bottom of the ocean. Sir Topham Hatt was not happy when he heard the news. "Henry, why didn't you take your goods train?" Then Gene rolled in. "What? His goods train? But he said it was for me." "Henry didn't want to admit, but he was jealous of him," replied James. "Henry, how could you?" said Edward. I'm sorry, sir," replied Henry. I was feeling left out, and I thought paying him out and trying to get rid of him would be the only solution, but I was wrong." "Indeed you were, Henry. Part of me wants to send you back to BR. No, sir, please." "Maybe Sir Topham Hatt should have gotten that Atlantic he wanted," muttered Gordon. Henry suddenly gulped, as if a bad memory had flashed across his boiler and smoke box. "Now you're going to be even later trying to get these Now you're going to be even later getting these trucks on time to their destination." "I brought Gene here to help you out, not to do all your work." "But sir—" "No buts, Henry. Go to the sheds now. I don't want to see you for the rest of the day." "Yes, sir," replied Henry. But before he puffed away, the other engines began to puff away. Henry did not speak to them, and they did not speak to him. Poor Henry was left all alone, and he felt like he was no longer wanted. That night, Henry had a bad dream about what happened. He dreamed because of his bad actions that he ended up getting sent away in disgrace. And dreamed about being scrapped and left away to rust. All he could just hear were little voices around. "Selfish engine." And later that night, Henry decided to make it up to everyone. He collected another load of trucks and set out for Vickerstown. It was very late at night when Henry set off. The load was heavy and the trucks were old. Henry was red in the face as he struggled to get them to the Vickerstown goods yard. Just as he was about to make it there, he heard a laugh. Whoa, what was that? Yeah. That was your side rods, said his driver. You're not going anywhere now. Unless we can get new ones for you. Oh, bother. Now I'm going to be even later. His driver and fireman telephoned for help. And then Henry, he was left all alone. Then he could see the puffing of an engine. It was Jean. Hello, Henry. Heard you were in a spot of bother. Thought I'd come to help. Oh, please, help me out. And I'm sorry I was rude to you. Hey, it's just water off a duck's back. I'll soon get you to Vickerstown goods yard in no time. And soon, Jean managed to get Henry and his goods train there. Damien, Evelyn, and Lily were waiting. I've covered them already. Damien and Evelyn are specifically created by Packet W4 Production, and Lily's also created by Rob the Canadian National Northern. And while it was time to go, there was a problem. Because of the long journey, Jean had used up all of his water. He wasn't going anywhere now. Just leave me here. I'll wait for another batch of water. No, replied Henry. You helped me out, and now I'll return the favor. Jean just smiled as Henry coupled up to him. The other engines were wondering where Henry and Jean were, and soon everyone began cheering when they saw the big green tender engine puff up with him. Everyone cheered and danced in delight when they saw it. Both of them are now good friends. Sir Topham and the other engines even apologized to Henry, and Henry even apologized back. Now Jean is as happy as can be working on Sodor. He enjoys his new life and gets on well with everyone, but Henry is his best friend of all. And he can call the island of Sodor his home. Well, there you go. And that's my headcanon for CJ and Jean. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!